Hi, and welcome to In Brandon. Today I'm here with Blaine Moroz. He's the president of the Westman Youth Football Association. He happened to stop by our offices today, so we thought we would take a second and just catch up on what's happening with youth football in Brandon. Welcome, Blaine.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me.
So let's just talk a little bit about the Westman Youth Football Association in itself. What is it?
WYFA was a millennium project started in 2000 by basically just a handful of parents who wanted a greater development and exposure to the sport, and also to get kids a little feet wet before they entered high school, just to see if we could kind of develop some fundamentals a little sooner. And 16 years later, here we are. We've exploded into one of the fastest growing sports in Westman, and football's never been stronger in the Westman area.
So let's just, before we expand out to Westman Youth Football Association, and there's players from all around the area that come into play in our spring league.
Oh, we have families even this year that travel from Verdon, Russell, Carberry, Neepawa, Killarney, Boissevain, Roblin we have a family from. So some of these families are traveling 3 times a week over an hour just to come to a practice and then go home. So we truly are Westman's league.
That's great. So we've got the age groups are 7 to 14 years old, and they're all divided up.
Yeah, Terminator division is 7 and 8. Our Atom divisions are 9 and 10. Our Pee Wee division is 11 and 12, and our Bantam is 13 and 14.
So nobody is really playing against anybody outside of their immediate age group.
No. Part of the beauty of the structure of the league is we just kind of get the kids together age-wise, and then when we do run drills, what we do is we just size kids up, so we don't have a, say for instance, a 40-pound boy taking on a drill with a 90-pound drill. We make it fair and competitive for everybody involved.
And how many children are involved?
This year we have 320 registered players split on 16 teams over 4 divisions. In the past, we've had teams come from Killarney, Dauphin, Neepawa has wanted to field a team. But we've just kind of kept it local this year, and although a lot of those kids still make the drive to Brandon for that, but our numbers have steadily increased. Over the last 5 years, we've seen consistent growth with football numbers, so the sport has really taken off.
Now, it is a development league. It's always been billed as a development league. So why don't you just go through a little bit on what happens, especially during the practices?
What we structure is we put fundamentals first with our league before anything else. If the kids don't learn to play the game, then they simply can't play the game. So every Tuesday we have kind of labeled Tackling Tuesdays, where every coach of a team will set up a different tackling drill, and then the players will just rotate through those drills so everybody learns the same, so that we can utilize the different levels of our coaching and get all those levels to every kid. Thursdays we do put the more emphasis on the team time, because our structure is we practice Tuesday, Thursday, and our games are on Saturday. So we try and balance the time so that fundamentals don't get lost just simply for the sake of X and O's and wins and losses. We run a rotation rule where every kid does play. There is no question of it. You know what, it's just the right thing to do. Like you said, we are a developmental league, and we need to be here for 320 kids, not just any one kid.
And the beauty about football is there's a spot for everybody on the field.
Absolutely, it is. It's a big on big and a speed on speed sport. So even some of the heavier kids that come in, we just make those kids realize their strength. You know what, you may not be the fastest, you may not be the most athletic, but we put you in a position to utilize your best traits as far as the game goes. And those are the kids that I like to see flourish. The kids that think just because I can't run as fast as a 40-year-old kid, well, there's a spot on the field where you don't need to run at all. You just need to use your strength, and everything plays into itself.
Great. So we have a spring league where you have the 300 plus kids playing, but the Westman Youth Football Association also fields other teams throughout the year.
Yes, last year, we've taken a few years off, but last year we did get back into the full contact league of the Manitoba Minor Football League out of Winnipeg. It was a great experience for the kids that played from that year. We are looking at expanding to 3 teams, hopefully, in the Manitoba Minor Football League this year. And plus, which is great, is the major program, with the Westman Wolverines, is one of the strongest programs in the major programs in Manitoba now, and that's a huge feather in our hat. Those adults and young adults that play that game, 90% of them come out of the youth league. So to just see them stay constant and current with football even after high school is a real feather in the cap to what we do for the kids that play the game.
Right, so that's for, you know, people who finished high school from 18 to 22 years old that want to continue on playing football and, you know, want to stay in the area to do that. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's the same draw. Last year we had kids coming from as far away as Shoal Lake to play on the major Wolverines. So there are football options out there if anybody is still wanting to play and stay current with the game post high school. We have the option for the team to do that, and it's become quite a successful team in the last few years. You know, it's just going to be a matter of time before they lift a championship and bring home a trophy to Brandon.
Great. So let's just talk about, you said a little bit about a feather in the cap, but, you know, as the Westman Youth Football Association has grown, so has the quality of the product that has been coming out of the Westman Youth Football Association into the high schools and then continuing on. And we've had quite a few players go on to play football.
Absolutely, and in every level. You know, the biggest name that we can hang on now is Landon Rice, who's a starter with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He was one of the first members of the league in 2000. But you look at the list of the players that have gone on from the WYFA to high school onto junior and CIS. There's TJ Simpson, who went to Windsor. We have Tane Haywood and Spencer Reich that went to the Rifles. Victor St. Pierre, Blaine Moroz that play with the Thunder right now. The list just goes on and on and on. And even speaking from the high school level, as a high school coach, what we're starting to see, as myself being a JV coach, is we can advance our coaching so much faster now because the boys coming out of the youth league at least have a basic grasp of what we need to do out here. So we don't have to spend that time going back to square one with the new kids, because even at the JV level, we're finding that probably 80% of the kids that play junior varsity football now in Brandon, they come out of the youth league. And just to recognize the 2 championships that were won last year by Vincent Massey and the Neyland Spartans, both MVPs came out of our youth league, and probably 80% of both squads played in the youth league. So anytime that a championship like that is won, we take a little quiet pat on the back for what we do as far as a youth league and getting kids developed, because those championships are theirs for life, and you know, those are things that just can't be taken away, and it's a great achievement from those kids.
Right, but it's not just that though too. It's the association that the WYFA has with the high schools also, in that, you know, the high school coaches, people who coach at the high schools are deeply embedded in with the WYFA too, and coaching at the younger level and seeing them come up into the high schools too.
And that's exactly it. You know, as fierce a competitors as we all are in the fall at high school, we all kind of go to our high schools, and that's what we bleed, for lack of a better term. When we all get together in the spring, we're all friends. We're all here for the same purpose of just developing the kids and making them the best football players that we can. We have kind of an unwritten philosophy that we love each other in the fall, or we love each other in the spring, and we hate each other in the fall. And I think it just bodes well to what our league is. You know, politics don't come on our field. We're there for the betterment of every kid that's out there, and the coaches that we have in the league are just stupendous with everything that we want to achieve as a league, and they just take it and they just follow it word for word, and it's fabulous. I can't say enough about the coaches that we have in this league. And again, because of the development league, we do get a lot of high school players who cannot play in the WYFA or play in the WYFA anymore. They're high school, but they come and they give back through both coaching and officiating. Yep. Yeah, it's that's one of the greatest things. Just my own personal win is you take Tyler Rowan, who was the MVP from the Vincent Massey Vikings last year. As soon as he's not eligible to play, these kids immediately miss football, and Tyler has come back, and he's one of our assistants on our one of our Pee Wee teams this year, as well as we've had 5 kids that have aged out of the league that are entering high school, and we brought them in as officials. And it's a way for them to come back, and it's a way for a young kid to learn a different aspect of the game, and at the same time, it's kind of like a part-time job. So it's definitely a win-win. And you know, as much as we say too, we miss some of the kids when they do go. We get some great character kids through that organization, and when their time does come and they do age out, we do miss them. So the fact that they come back in any aspect to give back is it's tremendous for the young men.
Right. So big new news, well, about a month old news, I guess.
Yeah.
Finally, after 16 years and a lot of hard work, WYFA has a home.
Yeah. It's, Dave, you've been around this league a long time too, and the trials and toils of just kind of dealing with borrowed land, so to speak, to just have our own home means so much. We are beyond excited as a league to get started on the Boyd Stadium project. We understand that it will be a monumental task, but it's something that the league has always just asked for a chance. We've always just wanted a chance to make or break by our own accord. We finally have that chance, and pieces are starting to fall into place. The committee's about 80% set. The fundraising is almost set to go. So once we do finalize what we need to finalize, then we'll begin the very aggressive procedure of fundraising for the facility. And we are hoping to have it open in the fall of next year. That is a window that we would like to shoot for, even if we could just have the fields and a parking lot done, just so that we can be off of the school, the public school fields, and stop putting such a stress on the borrowed land that we have. And we're chomping at the bit to get going on this one.
So what you didn't touch on was, where it is and the association that the WYFA has entered.
We've received a grant, land grant from the Simplot Millennium Park, which is home to Brandon Minor Baseball. There is a segment of land north of Brandon Minor Baseball that's not being used, that's within their lease, and they have taken us on as a user. It's going to be WYFA land through Simplot Millennium Park, so we'll have the exclusivity to rent it as we see it rented. It will be a football first facility. It'll be home to the 3 Wolverine programs in the fall and the Major Wolverines in the WYFA. We will also offer it up to some of the RMFL games. We would like to host the semifinals and possibly the finals, because the facility we will have will be Brandon's first lit facility for football. So it opens the options for so many more games. You just take, for instance, with the Brandon High School teams, after the first round of the playoffs, we're not able to host a playoff game because in the bylaws and stipulations it has to be an illuminated stadium that plays the semifinals and beyond. And with all 3 high school teams last year making the semifinals, we could have had 3 home games had we had the facility, but unfortunately that we don't, so we have to travel to Winnipeg. So it's really going to put a positive spin on what football is, and being able to host these home games, it allows us to get our fans out, and it allows us to support our own local teams without the expense of traveling to Winnipeg and having to do it out there.
Yeah, it's like we said, a lot of hard work went into this. A lot of hard work by you in the past year making this possible. So it's something that we're super excited about.
Yeah, we all are. And the name with the Boyd Stadium is it's a tragic timing of what it is. Anybody in the football community knew who Kevin was and knew what Kevin was about, and the community truly did suffer a loss on February 29th. It doesn't seem like a right enough way to honor Kevin for what he's done for football and the community, but it's definitely a place that we can start, and at least his legacy will live forever in some way, shape, or form in the football community.
Great. So we're kind of closed down for registrations and stuff this year. We're well into this. We've already had our first games of the season. But one of the things, though, the Wolverine programs for the younger kids in the fall, you don't have to play in the spring league in order to play Wolverines in the fall. So if there's anybody that's interested in playing football, you still don't even have to have experience playing to play the Wolverines. So.
Absolutely, because the Manitoba Minor Football is the same as the WYFA. It is a fair play league, so everybody gets equal time on the field. And absolutely, if it's not an impossible level to step in and start football with. So if anybody is out there that ever wanted to play football, maybe not at the developmental level, but wanted to take it maybe a step further, by all means, the Wolverine program would be where you'd want to step in and go with that.
So we'll just give a little bit of information too. So if people are interested in or have any questions about the WYFA, about playing, players joining the WYFA, the major Wolverines, the minor Wolverines, or even if anybody's out there interested in donating or helping out with the new Boyd Stadium at Millennium Park, they can contact the WYFA at wyfaboard@gmail.com, and they can also visit the website at wyfa.ca. So thanks for coming in today, Blaine.
Thank you very much for your time, Dave.
And we hope everybody checks out the Westman Youth Football Association.